Hey guys, welcome to 5 Minute Tech. In today's video, we are going to talk about retries. Okay, so there could be cases in which, due to network error or some other IO error, the request could fail and will result in a user getting error. So in those cases, what we would want to do is basically to retry on the errors so that we have a successful user experience. So first is retrying on error. And what it internally does is it makes the user experience better. Okay, so retries could be done at multiple places. Right now, we what we are going to demonstrate is the retry at a SDK level. Retries could also be done at a service level. So assume that we have something like this in which this is the client, this is the SDK, and this is the service. Now, if we don't enable retries, what happens is the request path is something like this, in which the client makes the request to the SDK. The SDK signs the header and calls the service. Okay, the service could respond with a 500 error, or some due to some issue there is error in the service, due to which it responds with 500 error code, and then the request is, or the error is sent back to the client, which is the user. And now the user will have to make the request again. Uh, the SDK could sign the header, call the service, this response with the 500, and user gets back the error. So this is before enabling retries. So there could be a case that we would want to enable the retries. So in that case, uh, we have the same structure in which there could be a client, SDK, and service. Now, the client sends a request to the SDK. The SDK signs the header and sends the request to the service. The server responds back with the 500 error code. Now, what this SDK is going to do is the SDK is going to retry it a number of times. So it then again signs the header, sends the request. Let's say it again receives 500. So this is going to happen, and let's say we on the fifth attempt get a successful response. In that case, we are going to send the successful response back to the user. So this is after enabling retries. Okay. So in this, there are different strategies that you could have. So one is the termination strategy. This tells you when to terminate. So you could say that I would want to, on a timeline, I would want to retry T1, T2, T3, and on seventh attempt or eighth attempt, I would want to stop. So even when we get a 500 response code in the eighth attempt, I'll stop. Second is the delay strategy. So in this case, what will happen is you could say that I would want to retry, let's say at 2 seconds, then I would want to retry at 4 seconds, I would want to retry at 8 seconds, and so on. So this is the exponential retry that you would want to have with some jitter. And the third one is the circuit breaker. So what we are going to do is we are hitting the service again and again if it responds back with the error code. So in that case, it could be that the number of requests that the service is handling increases, because of which we would want to break the circuit if there are more number of errors that we are receiving. So we can set a count on circuit breaker to break the circuit in case we have n number of error codes. Okay, I think that's it for today.